As Americans, we are becoming less empathetic, and there's research to prove that. A study of nearly 14,000 American students found that empathy began to drop sharply in the early 2000s. And more recent research shows major shifts in empathy-related traits like greater dehumanization, more political polarization, greater contempt, demonization, and justification of harm, increasing loneliness, and less trust in people and institutions. So what's going on? Why are we seeing these huge, and honestly pretty disconcerting, societal shifts? A lot of people assume it's because our society is just becoming colder or meaner, but the evidence doesn't support that. There are multiple forces at play, but two major ones are the normalization of harm and nervous system overwhelm. So let's start with the normalization of harm. Psychology has long shown that empathy shuts down when people are taught that harm is normal. The most well-known example of this is Stanley Milgram's experiments, where ordinary people delivered painful electric shocks to other people simply because an authority figure told them to. And afterward, many people justified their actions by convincing themselves that the victims weren't really suffering. And today, we see that same dynamic playing out. When authority figures in our government repeatedly dehumanize immigrants, the LGBTQ+ community, and racial minorities, many people learn to disengage from these groups' suffering. With enough repetition, cruelty stops feeling alarming and starts feeling normal. Now let's talk about nervous system overwhelm, because studies also show that empathy diminishes when our nervous systems are overloaded. And right now, most Americans are living in conditions that chronically overwhelm us. We're dealing with nonstop political stress, extreme economic pressure, a lack of social safety nets for basic needs like healthcare, housing, and food, constant fear-based rhetoric, online outrage cycles, and extreme inequality. Is it really surprising that our nervous systems don't have the capacity to extend empathy right now? When we're constantly in survival mode, our brain shifts resources away from reflection, curiosity, and perspective-taking, and toward vigilance and self-protection. Empathy becomes harder not because we're uncaring, but because we're overloaded. And the people in power right now know this. And authoritarian movements especially know this. Authoritarianism thrives when empathy is weak, because division gets easier and cruelty becomes easier to justify. But here's the good news. Empathy is not a fixed personality trait. It expands or contracts depending on what our environment encourages. If we want empathy to return, we have to create a society that invests in stability, safety, fairness, and equality, so that people can move out of survival mode. Only when chronic threat decreases and social supports strengthen can empathy begin to grow again. And when empathy grows, our democracy gains the foundation it needs to recover.